I want to learn. Oh, you having a beer? I've got my water. Have you got water or beer?
No. It's tonic water.
Tonic water, is it?
Yeah, I had a couple of wines on Friday night, but no, I'm not drinking much at all, really.
Is that Sea Eagles in the background?
Yeah, and Liverpool, except the year we're 25 points ahead. Coronavirus comes along and stops the competition. Like, if we don't win this year, I'll just cry. Like, it's just would be sacrilegious.
Yeah, well, I've got my Eels cap on, so can't see it. Hang on, I'll turn
Yeah,
it
well,
around for you. Hang on.
okay. Be nice when we get back to, a bit of sport again. Be great.
There you go.
Something to watch on the weekend.
Yeah,
Yep,
well, would
go
be
the
good.
Eels.
Well, I went looking for this cap when I went for my run round to Parramatta. I couldn't. I've been look. This is the one that Brad Arthur wears, the white one. You don't see it in the shops, and I saw it.
All right.
And I was at about 27 k's, and I went into the Parramatta Eels Leagues Club. And while I was in there, I thought, okay, I saw this cap, so I got my phone out, got the Apple Wallet out, and paid for it. So I've got my Eels cap ready to go. I'll turn
That's
it around
good.
the other way.
Nice one. Excellent. Good to see.
I can see a bit better there. Right, what's it been
Yeah.
like in Bathurst this week?
Oh, pretty quiet. Like, well, the shops were a little bit busy on Saturday morning, but you can walk across the road in Bathurst. Normally you can't on a Saturday morning. You're lucky to find a car park. And if you walked across the road, you have to wait and go between cars and stop at halfway. You can walk across the main street almost anywhere without looking now. You
That's
can close your
amazing.
eyes and walk across, which shows you just how much traffic has dropped off. And in that, probably the road tolls down dramatically because there's no one driving anywhere really, unless it's to the shops. And even then, I'd say it wouldn't even be a tenth of what it normally is.
Well, you're right. In fact, at the back of our place, I can't even hear the traffic on Pennant Hills Road, but I can see it occasionally. So,
Wow. Yeah, because that road's usually just chockers.
Mm.
3 lanes going flat out both ways, nearly 24/7, but you'd know it better than me.
Yeah, that's all right then. So how was the week at work?
Oh, pretty good. Like, it's just being home. I'm already working from home. I already work online. So for me, it hasn't been a big adjustment at all. Everything that I'm already do is just, part of the whole new process. So for me, the adjustment hasn't been much at all, with one exception. I get my kicks like by going out at the end of the day. But if you can't go out at the end of the day, well, unless it's for food or a health appointment, then you have no contact with people. So then it makes it more like quarantine, and it makes it more like, to use that phrase, being in jail.
Oh, well, you're around.
Because that's what people do. When they go to jail, they do time. They do time, and that's what people are fighting against now, doing time in their own house. It's kind of funny.
It's actually even we're noticing here that like Jenny gets up an hour or so before me, and I'm still struggling. I can't get out of bed early, so I feel guilty as soon as the day starts. It's just awful. I'm up, 9 o'clock, at the earliest. But I still I have my cup of tea, and I've got my COVID-19 chair, and I sit there and I just have a cup of tea. I'm reading a Stephen King novel at the moment on writing, it's called. So that's really interesting. And then about 11 or 12 o'clock, I'll go for a run or a walk, and then come back. And then I'm treating the TV like a beer, which I don't drink, as you know. I haven't had a beer in 5 years. But I try not to turn the telly on until after midday. I might watch a bit of a Netflix program, something like that.
God, well, that's good. Well, congratulations on your drinking. I keep trying and I keep failing. But not in a bad way. I've never been a really heavy drinker, but I still, like on Friday night, it was the end of the week. I was pretty exhausted, even though it was a short 4-day week, because I did a lot of other things too. But come Friday night, I wanted to have a few wines, let your hair down. Not that you do anything crazy, but just relax. And it feels really good, but then it doesn't really feel very good. And then the next day you think, why did I do it again? Like, I don't know where the middle ground is. You just want to feel good and relax, but stop it right about there. It's about probably 2 or 3 drinks only, but it just doesn't work like that.
You flipped, because you're the one in moderation in the barrel days, and I always found abstinence easier than moderation.
Yeah. Well, look, if I open a bottle, I just finish it, but a bottle's too much. You just shouldn't be drinking that much, but I only might do it once a week. That's it.
Oh, that's all right, I guess.
But it's still not good. It's funny. You just want something nice to have a drink and be a bit social. And when you have wine or beer, you feel a little bit better. But if you keep having it, there's just a marker, like for everybody, their tolerance level. Mine's about 3 drinks. 3 drinks, couldn't be happier. And I should just never have another one after that. That should just stop right there. But because you drink, you'll have 4, you'll have 5, and you don't even need them. But you'll just keep doing it. That's alcoholic behavior. And I know it, but I'm stuffed if I can stop it. I've done my best.
No, you're all right. You reached a decent age. I got a mate, WD, and he has a couple of drinks, and then he just doesn't give in to peer pressure. He'll just sit next to a pot plant and pour it down a pot plant. So it's like he's been drinking all night, and after 3 beers, it just doesn't do so much these days. But used to do it in his 20s, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty smart because that peer group pressure. Well, yeah, I haven't been so much affected by that. It's not it really, but yes, we're a drinking culture, and it's the legal drug, and it's a pretty bad legal drug. Like, doesn't really do anything for anyone, and it's killed that many people. It's not funny in car accidents and domestic violence and everything else. So probably be the worst bloody legal drug that a government could ever friggin' pick in their lifetimes. But that was made 100 years ago or whenever, or 200 years ago. Sorry,
or even earlier. Yeah. Is
yeah.
this so you had a little alcove at your mum's place when you're working there? So you work in this bedroom, do you?
Yeah, it's just a bedroom, but I can't really turn the computer around without a lot of trouble. But I've just got a window at the front of my house. So when I look past the computer, it just looks straight out across the road, and there's no houses and there's park. Well, it's not really parkland, it's actually farmland. So it's really good in the fact that I now look out because I work here all day, every day. So it's a nice view. I'm not like stuck in a corner looking at a tin fence anymore since I moved. Like, this place is really quite good.
And you got a cycle path across there too, from memory. Remember when you showed me the house?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, we're at the end, or I'm at the end of a cycle path down here. It's only got a couple of 100 meters left. But when I first moved in here, which is only about 6 weeks ago, you'd see about, I don't know, a dozen people a day walking or riding a bike or something, but not much. Now it's about 112 a day. Like, the amount of people that are out walking and moving about, it's just multiplied. And it's great because people are using those things. And what I wanted to say to you, I even thought of this the other day, because you're into making cycle paths and the world a cleaner, greener place. I mean, it's the old saying, you build it and they will come. If that concrete path wasn't there, none of those people would be going past here because they wouldn't have anywhere to walk. A few would walk up the road like they do, but most people actually walk on that path or ride on that path, and they're only doing it because that concrete's been laid by the council. So it's funny. If you build it, people will use it.
Does it go all the way to Bathurst?
Yes, it does. It kind of weaves around. It stops in a couple of places where you've got to kind of link up on roads a little bit, but not by much. It basically, from about 300 meters down my street, which is where it ends, you could go up and over the bridge at Eglinton, which is about 6 k's out of town. That goes to another point that links up to another road. Yeah, I actually think you can get all the way into Bathurst on the walking path, minus a couple of little short stretches of road, which might only be, I don't know, 50 or 60 meters long, something like that. So you can, but I don't know whether it's designated riding path, or it's riding and walking. I'm not really sure, but people do both on it. Mostly either run or walk, though. I
Oh,
don't
that's
know whether
interesting.
it's illegal to ride on it.
Well, it wouldn't be.
No, I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying I don't know if you used it as a riding path. I can't see anything wrong with it, but I'm just not sure of what council rules are in regard to a riding path.
So how's your running going?
Oh, look, not good. But here's the thing. I mean, I only got out of quarantine 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's
Got back into my work habits and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But because it's been a less stressful start to the year, mostly because with the social distancing, I don't have kids after school, so
Yeah.
I don't do like a 10 or 12-hour day now. I'm only doing an 8-hour day. I'm only really doing Tai Chi exercises over lunch. That's about it.
Yeah, that's better. I couldn't see you
So
very well.
Yeah, so it's coming back slowly but surely, but I'm not anywhere near as fit as what I want to be. But the thing is, last year I burnt out, so this year I'm just trying to take it steady and put things in place and build on it. So when I, as I do things, I can do more and accommodate more. Normally I just go, I'm all or nothing, flat out till I drop. But last year I dropped, so this year I'm trying to go medium and not drop.
All right.
That doesn't make any sense, but not knock myself out. But I still want to exercise more, and I'm thinking of getting my bike going. What I should really do is I should pump up my bloody treadly and use that on the bike path, because that'd be better than even walking or running at the moment, because I'm finding that a bit hard, only because I don't know why. Well, you're a year older and a year unfitter and all the other things.
Yeah, well, I'm actually struggling now because, look, Jenny and I are on 14 weeks of long service leave and we're stuck inside. Well, not inside, we can go outside, but all we do is I just go for my run, and I can't run every day now. If I run every day, my knees are going to be shot. So I've got to do something each day, but I'm struggling to work out what I can do. So today, for example, I did 6Ks, but I thought, okay, I'll just do 6Ks an hour. So I walked and I spoke to Noodles, and my knees are playing up. And I said, if you're running down the hill causing the problems for the knees, or is it running up the hill? And he said down the hill. So when I go for a walk now, I'm actually, instead of bludging on the downhills, I now run up the hills and walk the downhills. So I actually find I get a better workout because I'm running up the hills, and my knees are better for it as well.
It's interesting you say that. I've never had a sore anything pretty much till I got to about 60. And when I was in Thailand for the dental work recently, I went to the gym every day, and out of no exercise whatsoever, I just did 40 minutes a day and would do 4Ks in 40 minutes, no problem at all. And I'd go for a swim for a little while and take it from there. But as soon as I came back and I had one 20-minute run on concrete, my knees, particularly my left knee, has been really sore and really tight. And it's like, geez, like it even hurts. It was even hurting to walk. And it's like, I've never had that. I've never had any issues whatsoever. So,
I think
yeah, as you
concrete
get
does it.
older, different things crop up. That's better. Now I can see you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's better. Yeah, I think concrete will do it to you for sure.
Well, probably, yeah. But that's our bike paths and our running paths. They're concrete, so you can run on the grass a little bit, but it doesn't always have grass next to it. Some parts do, and some parts don't so much, because
Yeah.
they're too lumpy and too rough, which I could do probably if I was fitter. But I think I need to get the bike out and just do loops on the bike of about 1K and do 4 or 5 of those.
Well, you could ride your bike all the way into Bathurst and have a cuppa and come back, but you're going to do that in your lunch break. You don't have time.
Yeah, but you can't do that now because you'd get arrested and it's $1,000 fine. You can't go anywhere unless it's for essentials.
But that can be your exercise.
Oh yeah, I suppose so.
Because I
But
know
what if
someone
they
else.
caught you with a cup of coffee? You're right, because Bathurst, you can get a cup of coffee in there and it'd be worth it at the end of the trip. You'd ride in, get a cup of coffee and ride back. Wouldn't be too bad.
I was talking to someone and he went for a run to a friend's house for a birthday to see some friends. They all ran there.
Right. That's
And
pretty
then,
good. So no cars out the front.
Yeah, and then had a couple of beers and then turned around and ran back. But they did their exercise. There's a 4K run there. And when I was talking to him on the phone the other day, I was at 2Ks and he was already at 5Ks, and he was walking around Centennial Park.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I said, okay, I'm at 4Ks now. Where are you? And he was the same distance, so we were walking at the same pace while we were talking. And then,
Yeah.
and then he phoned ahead and picked up a coffee on the way through, because we've got all these apps in Surrey Hills where you just use the app and
Yeah.
the coffee's ready for you. Yeah.
God, life. Well, you see, this is the whole problem with coronavirus. The whole world, well, I won't say the whole world, that's not fair to the third world. In the first world, we've had it too good for too long. Suddenly everyone's hit the brakes and people are just finding a lot of things very difficult. Yet, they're only a first world problem. All these things, like we've had coffees and we've had good jobs and income and everything's been, we're really, I think, maybe as a country and maybe in the first world, everyone's been living a bit above their means and what values really worth. So I think one of the pluses to come out of the coronavirus, sickness and death aside, is it's a big natural correction, and it's going to level a lot of things for a lot of people. And I don't see that as all bad. I think, we're living in very affluent and spoiled. I think we're spoiled. And I think this has just stopped a lot of people in their tracks. I'm not talking about people working part-time and losing their job. They're not affluent and they don't have everything. But, there's a big middle class. There's a lot of wealth out there. And I think a lot of people have got just used to having everything. And maybe we shouldn't. Maybe it's a real good discipline not to have everything.
So tell me, what would be your solution coming from your view of how the world works?
Well, I keep getting perplexed by the current attitude, even though, you want to live in a healthy, wealthy environment. Everyone just wants more. The whole Western world is built on more. Even when they're talking about coming out of the coronavirus, it's to get the economy back on track, to make the money that we used to make, to have all the things that we used to have. Now I'm with getting the economy back on track. Everyone needs to live and have a job, all those things. But it's always about more. And to me, it's nearly always based on a form of greed. It's not actually more because we need more. Like, we need more ventilators. We need more sanitizer. We actually need more things sometimes to make you safe and well. But you don't need more cars. You don't need, more houses. I don't mean for people to rent and live in. I mean for yourself. So I think it's just a good reminder that less is actually always more. But people Trump, he wants to restart the economy, or did by Easter. Why? Because he's losing money. He wants to make more money. Well, if you were that wealthy, you could stop making money for the next, flaming 10 years. It wouldn't matter. You'd have that much money. It's not funny already. But why do people just always want more and always want to build on more and have a constantly expanding economy that never actually resides?
Yeah.
And for me, that's just, there's something wrong in people's thinking, that the world keeps expanding and everything keeps growing exponentially and never stops.
So what you're saying is the solution is to reduce our needs and wants. But what's your short-term solution?
No, you said that, and I mean, I think what's happening is, I think we're being forced to do that. And my take on it would be, if we all have to take a bit of a hit and step back a bit and, have less is more, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think there's plenty of people that have too much. Just the fact, like with flights, you can fly anywhere now for a few $100s. And every time you fly, you put all of that, fuel in the air, and you ruin the environment. But you don't think of that. You just think, well, gee, I need to get over to that place and do that thing and have a holiday, which, that's all admirable. That's great. Everyone loves a holiday. And in the meantime, you're doing all this profound amount of damage to the planet at the same time. Not that it's just about the planet. We just don't see often the consequences of our actions.
It's interesting
because you can do it.
It's interesting. One of my students was doing her SGP, her senior geography project, on COVID-19 and the impact on travel agents. But then she also took the angle. She wanted to actually do the impact of the reduction of number of flights around the Earth for the 4 weeks or whatever, to see if that has an impact on carbon emissions and all that sort of stuff. So she's going to do a bit of a deep dive into that, and pretty clearly it will. They're saying they can see the sky and things like that in places that normally where they've got lots of pollution, things like that, like China in particular, but other nations of the world like in South America and stuff like that.
The world at the moment, the physical world, would be just breathing this in as a big breath of fresh air, because we've just stopped harming it for a while. And that's sort of the point that I'm getting at. It's all good to be able to fly places and go places, but I think it's become all too easy and all too much for too many of us. And I'll put myself into that as well. Like, when I was up until about the age of 30, I couldn't afford to fly anywhere. Now you could save up your pocket money as a teenager and get on a flight and go to bloody Bali for the weekend. You could.
Yeah, or go to Melbourne for shopping, or watch the Seagulls
Yeah.
play against the Storm, or whatever.
Now, there's nothing wrong with doing it. I'm never against doing anything, but just the fact that it's that accessible, that's the danger, or that's where the damage comes in. And I don't think people are aware of that till what's the old saying? You don't know what you've got till you lost it.
Yeah, that's right. So what are you reading at the moment?
Let me think. I just finished a book a little while back called Boy Swallows Universe, and it was a really awesome tale written by, I think he was a Brisbane journalist, and because he was in journalism, uh, part of the story in the book is every time he goes in, I forget who asked him, but someone keeps asking him to put it in a 3-word slogan. Unlike politics, really stupid things, it's because it's a newspaper and he wants to be a cadet for the newspaper, and his mentor says, well, I think he says put it in a 3-word slogan. So all of the chapters in the whole book are 3-word slogans. And the title of the book is Boy Swallows Universe. Like if you picked up a newspaper and you saw this heading, Boy Swallows Universe, you might go, wow, that's interesting. I'll have a read of that. And that's the reason it goes like that. But it's one of the best written, most entertaining stories I've read for about 20 years. It's kind of like a Jeffrey Archer novel. It just flows. You can't put it down. It's simple to read. It's accessible. It's not highfalutin, and it tells just an awesome tale. And it's pretty much based on the truth and his life when he was younger by being caught up in a drug-running family. Yet he's kind of an innocent.
His name's Trent Dalton.
Yes, thank you. Good old Trent. He's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, I've got it on my Kobo books that I got. I subscribe, as you know, to the Australian and the Daily Telegraph, but they give me a free book every month. So I haven't read that one yet. But he's actually doing a series in Australia at the moment about what it's like to be locked down. So every week he writes a story about people who have been, and their sort of human interest story about being locked down. So that's always interesting.
Well, and where's that? Where is he publishing that?
He's in the Australian, so I'll PDF it and send it to you because you don't subscribe to it. So.
No, I read the Sydney Morning Herald every day and the Guardian and the local paper.
Well, there you go. So I read the Australian, the Daily Telegraph, and the local paper. So we've got every side of society.
We've got it covered. Right, well, I'll send you articles you can't get. This would be great. Awesome. You send me stuff that I can't get. That's great. That's good. Yeah, no, he's really good, and his writing is terrific. It just reads, as they say, like an airport novel, but not a trashy one. It's actually quite a really well put together story, although it's a bit fanciful in places, but there's a bit of escapism in it too, I suppose, which I don't mind in a good story.
Well, in fact, actually, a lot of the books I'm reading now, it's interesting, they have short paragraphs. So currently I'm reading, what's his name, Stephen King, the writer, and the first half of the book, it's called On Writing, and he said it was a small book, and the first half of it describes his life, and how he got into writing and how he used to work jobs in laundries and all sorts of things, did teaching, was an English teacher, tells the story about what his life was like when he started to think about Carrie and some of the other movies that he did, like Cujo, K-U-J-O.
So when he tells you those things, do they give you an insight into, like, why that story turned out like that, or not?
So for example, he had a job as a janitor in a school, and he had to clean girls' bathrooms at the end of the day, and then he linked that experience to the whole blood scene in Carrie and all the bullying that she experienced in the thing, and then he also then linked the story then to bringing the priest in through another experience he had in his life, and then all those sorts of things were linked together in relation to where he got his ideas from, and then the story would emerge. He said he can't remember writing Cujo, C-U-J-O, because he was so drunk. He was just sort of spent all his life drinking at that point. And so that was really difficult for him. Then the second half of it is going through what he calls his toolbox for writing. And he says what you need to do and what you don't need to do. And really, like, you've written your little short stories, you're doing your Facebook things at the moment, and you've written those... what was that cartoon series that you did with the fish? Mole Cool. Yeah, you've done all that, but the message there quite clearly is you have to be brutally honest. you can't self-censor. And you know how sometimes when you put pen to paper, you say, "Oh, I better not
Oh
say
yeah, yeah.
that."
And that's a very good point, because I think when you don't self-censor, when you don't write for public acknowledgement or acclaim, like not that anyone is, but just saying, you do a much better job because you are honest. And when you're honest, it doesn't matter what you're saying, like for other people, it just has to matter for you.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm just turning my phone down. It's beeping away.
So I did with the Facebook thing this year. I made a rule. I made a couple of different rules, but not really big ones. I just decided I'll do a story a day for a year. I'm up to about 110, 20 days, so 120 stories. But I promised I'd never read a comment on any one of them, because as soon as I read that comment and you get people saying stuff like, "Oh, what's this shit? What are you saying that for?" I'll stop writing. So I've made a rule. I don't read anything. I publish one story a day, and I don't care if anyone likes it or hates it. It doesn't make any difference. But I don't read anything.
Oh,
I don't read one
I
comment.
won't like them anymore. You don't see my likes, but you've got a few
No,
likes there,
no,
so it's good.
you can like them, but the point is I'm trying not to get into, if I write a story and say 20 people liked it, I think that's great. And say the next day 3 people complain, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Then I'll feel bad, then I won't do it.
Yeah, fair
So
enough.
and I can't just rely on people liking stuff to keep doing it. I just made a deal with myself. I write a story every day for a year, and then I won't read one comment, then I'll go back and I'll read all the comments.
So when you
Because it doesn't matter then, because you've done it.
so if you've written a story, but you always have a song associated with it. Do you pick the song first?
It's funny. Sometimes the story comes from the song, and sometimes it's the other way around. I write a story and I just get this immediate thought in my head for that song to match it. But when I don't have a match, I'll just do a research job. Like, what am I talking about? I might be talking about, something like we've discussed today. Oh, it's a first world problem. So I'll try and get a song that matches that story, like about it being a first world problem. It doesn't have to say the exact words of "this is a first world problem," but it might encapsulate just that feeling. So I'll try and get a song that matches just a part of it, if not all of it, if I can, in a way. And I like it like that, because sometimes the song, after you read the story, you get the picture really fully. It's like how you feel about something.
So I was going to say, I've lost my train of thought. You always get me intrigued. You're talking about oh, that's right. Have you got a record of these all in a Word document or one big document, not just Facebook, or do you write them straight to Facebook?
Well, it started at work. I started writing a short story at work, but much shorter than this. Like, I would, about a paragraph tops. I would just have a little funny observation from, I'd seen in life. Like I was telling you this today, at the beginning of, like, yesterday, you could cross the road without even looking.
Yeah,
So
at Bathurst
I would
shops.
write a really short story. I did that for almost a year at work, every day for a year, but they're working days, like Monday to Friday, so not 7 days a week. And then also, as I kept writing the stories, just more and more came out. So I went from one paragraph to 2 to about 3 to about 4. So I went from just like a comment or an observation to a short story, all by accident. I didn't plan any of it. They just grew in nature. And then I kept doing it at work because I found it really enjoyable. It's funny. It's the most enjoyable thing I do, and I'm not being unkind to my job or anyone else or anything in it.
Oh, that makes
But
sense.
when I write that story, it's just something that's, I don't know, it's my input in the day. And then people started reading it and they liked it. Now, not everyone likes my stories every day, but now everyone looks forward to, because I put it in first thing in the morning. So I used to write it at night, the day before, from something that's either happened personally to me or I've observed. And I wrote for, I reckon I'd be over a year at work now, every day for a year. And then what I did this year was, I thought I'll put it on Facebook. And it was funny, they were both out of parody. I was ahead at work, and then I started putting my old stories on Facebook. And then because one's 7 days a week, if this makes any sense at all, and one's 5 days a week, they don't match up. So I was swapping and doing stories. Now I write the same story in the same place every day. But the
So,
2 days extra, for Facebook, like Saturday and Sunday, I usually miss those at work. Like, I don't put those in at work.
So you're cutting and pasting from a Word document. Is it one document, or you have a separate document for each story?
Oh, I do it on notes on my phone. I've tried about 15 different software companies for speech to text, and it is effing terrible. It's just the worst, shittest program in the entire world. I've used my Mac,
You're
and I
using your phone?
cannot find anything.
Use your phone, Maddie, because I'm doing it on my phone. If you go to Notes in Phone, down the
No, no,
bottom.
no. This is what I'm saying. I use notes in phone. What I'm trying to tell you very clearly is it does a shit job, and it doesn't. Maybe I speak terribly. I can't work it out, but the conversion rate for what I say in a sentence, even if I say it like that, full stop, is nothing like what I've just said, and it changes it and it changes it back. And I've tried multiple forms of software, and they're all freaking terrible. To write a short story sometimes takes me an hour because half of it's editing because it's just rubbish.
Interesting. All my writings on Notes, holding the phone up. I just go Notes. I talk into it. I'm putting all.
Yeah, me too.
But I
Yeah,
don't.
but it doesn't. It's terrible.
I'll tell you, mine's okay. What I do then is I will sit down and I will talk probably 10 paragraphs. Then I will then email it to myself. And then sure, I spend 10 minutes fine tuning it, but I've got myself to the point where I go, had a great conversation with Matt today, full stop, new paragraph. I say all that sort of stuff.
And I
Okay.
do all of that, and it
Yeah.
comes out arse up. It's just awful.
Well,
Here's
persevere. It
Fridays.
works really well.
Here's a story from Friday.
Then because I've got all my stuff on WordPress now. Have you got a WordPress account? Because that's where I was leading to with that. You've got them all on your notes, and I've done like hundreds of stories on Facebook, but then they're all chronological, and you can't remember. If you remember the year you wrote them, you might find them by
Yeah.
doing the search.
No, I save them on Google Sheets.
Right, that was what my original question was. So save on Google
Yeah.
Sheets after the thing. Have a look on.
Yeah, so I've got a record. Sorry, you go.
I've just spent some time updating my web page, so go and have a look at it. And on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
if you look on your computer, you can look at it now. Actually, probably.
Okay.
I've been doing all my posts now. I'm tagging, and they're becoming the basis of everything that I'm doing. So today, for example, I listened to Lisa Healy podcast on the Howie Games podcast, and she was fantastic. And then yesterday, 2 days ago, I was listening to a guy called Eric Weinstein, and he has got some really, really good stuff about what's happening in the world at the moment and where it's going. He's part of what's called the intellectual dark web. So that's really interesting for me anyway to look at. But I've
now just sorry, on your website, is it the EduBlogs or is it the WordPress.com? Which one?
The WordPress one.
Okay, keep
and
going.
You'll see a whole pile of pictures there that I've put in there. On the right-hand side at the top, you can see the different blog posts. So there's 3 columns to it. The first column is running. The second column is about life. The third column is professional. And halfway down the middle one, you'll see a thing that says my writings. And basically, I do all my writing on the blog post on the right-hand side, but in the middle of it, down there, where I've got a little picture of my sort of dotted notes and that's everything that I've written. So I think because you've got so many stories, I reckon if you just create a WordPress site like that, put Mole Cool in, like I put my over on the left-hand side, my Iron Man story and the rest of it, you'd have one-stop shopping for everything you've done, because you've got thousands of words, let alone all the music that you've got there. With.
No, this is quite good. And I looked into WordPress, I don't know, about a year or so ago, but what happens every time I go into software, it just balloons out. And after a while, sometimes I just get lost in it all, and I try things and they don't work out. And I didn't really end up following that through. But what I do with my stories is it started at work as just a little work fun thing. Then it grew into a story a day, which I did for over a year and still doing. Then I transferred that to Facebook and then made them match up. But I save a copy of every story to Google Sheets just so I've got some copy of it somewhere, because it doesn't edit very well on Facebook, but the ones that work edit much better because I can put in italics and things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
and
understand.
bolded as well. So the ones I do at work have a lot more grammar and punctuation in them, so to speak, and they read a lot better usually, just because you can emphasize different things.
Do you
But
see
the
Ali in the
WordPress sounds
background?
pretty good. Yeah, I can. She
Yeah.
came in and yelled out earlier. Typical.
Yeah,
Home, is everyone home?
yeah, she's just come home. Yeah. And I just saw a ladder go by out the other window that I was out before. I don't know what Nick's doing. He's just arrived as well. So they've all just arrived
All
home.
right. How are they all coping with the isolation?
They're all right.
Being the young ones.
Yeah, Nick's been up at Avoca with Beth, and Ali's here, and she works at Liverpool Hospital now. So
Yeah, that's a bit of a drive each day, isn't it?
it is a drive, but you know what? Dad used to work in Elizabeth Drive, Liverpool, as a pharmacist, and Ali
Wow.
now works at down towards Green Valley, and
Yeah.
and Ali now works in Elizabeth Drive, Liverpool, at the other end up at Liverpool Hospital, and she's a block from where I was from the age of 2 years to 8 years. So
Wow. So
I went and showed her.
you must have some connection with the place.
When you talk about connection with place, exactly right. That block, it's about a block walk. I went past our old house in 10 Castle Ray Street, and now it's 10 to 14 Castle Ray Street, and it's got about 50 units on it. And on the other side of the road are all these rundown fibro houses, which were identical to the ones that we lived in the 60s.
Wow.
So it's a completely different world. So
it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
So that's
especially
all right.
in a place like Sydney, which is massive now to what it was.
So what did you do
and it will
today?
be in the future. I've had the easiest day ever. I just thought today was a day off. I really didn't do much. I slept in a little bit, then I got up and watched Insiders, had a nice breakfast, cup of coffee, watched a couple of episodes of The Wire because I've been watching The Wire, which I really like.
Great show, yeah.
And I'm up to I just finished season 3, and I watched 5 first by mistake. I started with the last series first, so then I watched 1, 2, 3. I've got one series to go now. The Wire is awesome.
Is that on Fox or on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Foxtel. Sorry, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't think I can watch. They've given me free show entertainment, but not the ability to watch on demand, so I can't go back to it.
Oh, mine does. Well, yeah, I wonder why that is.
Did
like
you have
I
it,
had
or were
it
you given
before.
it?
No, I had it before, but I paid for that entertainment channel or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like
so I dumped the entertainment channel and kept the movies, but they had to give it to someone because everyone buys Foxtel for sport, and there's no sport.
Yeah, I know. That's a real big deal. I only just renewed my subscription before everything stopped, but then they sent out free movies to everyone, so that was pretty decent. But I haven't watched any yet. I haven't watched one movie yet.
There's so much on. I've been watching interesting programs. I'm quite like these Spanish programs, but they actually are in English. I watched a school one called Elite, which I thought was interesting. But I'm currently watching one called Toy Boy. That's really interesting. It's about sort of it's just about a guy who's been accused of murder and spent 7 years in jail, and they're trying to find out who really did the murder. But their sideline gig is they're basically dancers in a nightclub with the 4 guys. So they're all pretty fit, healthy, good-looking guys. So it's a sort of an interesting approach to that sort of thing. And then the other one I watched was really good, was Money Heist. Have you ever seen that?
Sorry, what was it?
Money Heist.
I think I've seen it advertised, but no, I haven't watched it. No.
That's really good. There's a guy called the Professor, and all the characters in it are named after cities like Nairobi and Tokyo and places like that. So they don't use their real names, and then they basically rob a bank. So it goes on for 3 episodes. I think I've seen now, so I've enjoyed that.
Sounds all right. I watched. I'm still watching a bit of Westworld. It's a bit futuristic.
What are you up to? I'm up to series 2 now, I think.
No, I'm up to the latest episode, which comes in on a Monday. So tomorrow will be the next episode. So I'm right up there. I kind of like it in one way. It's just, stretches your mind a bit about what the future can or can't be like. And it's funny. I made a comment about it the other day. Like all these futuristic shows and movies, there's hardly anything that's not pretty much awful. Like there's just more people, there's more crime, there's more, badness in the world. There's rarely a show that goes, or a movie that goes into the future. Not that you want utopia, but it could be a different world. You could build a different world, but it's just more of the same. It's just like the current world on steroids.
Did you watch the original one in the 70s, the Yul Brynner movie?
Yes, I think so. I think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the original, and then it turned it into a series. I was watching with Jenny,
Yeah.
and she couldn't work it out. And then eventually, when I explained it to her, because she couldn't work out, hang on, this was a Western a minute ago, and now we're in this futuristic space.
Yeah. Well, it'll blow your mind. But I mean, the interesting thing I find about shows like that is, in the future, things like that will be true. They just will be. Someone will build that one day. It'll just be a different form of theme park. I mean, they said that, I remember when I was first doing all my film and TV kinds of qualifications to get some skills and understanding of that. I remember reading, this would be about, I don't know, it'd be a long time, 25 years ago. They were saying that CGI will be the star of the future. And I thought, that's just stupid. That's ridiculous. CGI will never, replace a human being. Well, by the Christ, it does. You can do anything with it
What's
now.
CGI stand for?
Uh,
Or what
don't
is it?
ask me.
What is it?
Google it.
Is it an interface? Is it? Is it a way?
It's basically how you get Spider-Man to climb up a building, and make it look real.
Okay.
Or
Right.
you can create a character where you can marry animation with real people interacting. Like you just can make anybody do anything, and the technology is so advanced these days. How they can take someone's face and just put it on another body, and it looks like they're that other person. Like there's just nothing you can't do through software.
No, you're right. There's a movie on Foxtel called The Happy Murders, and it's a mixture of cartoon characters and real people.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. And who would have thought, 20, 30 years ago, CGI will be anything but, a big tidal wave coming over, you could imagine, but you can't imagine people being replaced or even, things like people. But all that's come true in a short space of time.
Yeah, interesting. Well, there's a lot to watch and a lot to do. Yeah, I'll do some research into that. I didn't know that. That's interesting. All right, go and see your brother.
Okay, mate, it was really good to Zoom in. I've had my first successful Zoom meeting. It's been interesting.
All right. Well, I'll play with the stuff, and I'll send you some links and things. But have a look if because I don't know how much you look at my stuff that I write. But go into WordPress on the right hand side. You get a bit of a sense of what I'm doing then.
Yeah, no, I'll check it out. That'll be good. Thanks, mate.
All right, then have a good week.
Yeah, you have a good week too, Marty. Nice chatting to you.
No worries. I'll speak to you later. Bye.
Like your next door.
Okay, then. See you, Matty.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.